Hello dear students, in this video we are going to study stanza 5 of the poem Lapis Lazuli written by W.B. Yeats. So as we have discussed in our previous videos that this poem seems apparently unrelated to each other, yet the poem has historical record of perpetual defeat and renewal, and this poem has the theme of out of tragedy comes tragic joy. So this is the theme of this poem, and in this poem there is a whole series of themes, as you have noticed in a previous explanation of stanzas. Now as on your screen you can see there is a text of stanza 5. Every discoloration of the stone, every accidental crack or dent seems a watercourse or an avalanche or loafy slope where it still snows. Discoloration means disfigurement, or we can say faded portion. So in these lines the poet wants to show us the actual state of that lapis lazuli medallion, and he is saying that the discoloration on the stone or the accidental crack or any dent means any sign of crack or uh, any type of dent there is, or if there is any type of accidental crack or if there is any type of sign on the stone, the poet can interpret these discoloration, accidental cracks or dents of the lapis lazuli in various ways. He says that these discoloration or accidental crack or dent, these seems caused by a watercourse running onto it or an avalanche or any loafy slope where it is still snowing. So he can interpret the reasons of these discoloration and etc. They can be taken as a watercourse or an avalanche or a loafy slope where it is still snowing, but each accident of the stone seems to have meanings. The next lines of these stanzas are: though doubtless plum, plum is a type of tree or cherry branch, sweetens the little halfway house. Those Chinamen climb towards, and I delight to imagine them seated there, there on the mountain and the sky, on all the tragic scene they stare. In these lines, the poet is imagining a situation that the Chinamen are climbing toward a mountain, and the poet is sitting there and delighting to see them climbing. So, although it might be snowing on the loafy slope, there is also the possibility that fruit trees sweeten the small house, the house that is little halfway towards the mountain, and the house that is situated on the hill towards which the Chinamen are climbing. And the poet sitting there delightedly, imagining the Chinaman seated near that spot and staring at the tragic scene below. One asks for mournful melodies, accomplished fingers begin to play. Their eyes, mid many wrinkles, their eyes, their ancient glittering eyes are gay. In this line, the poet is saying that one of the two Chinamen asks for mournful melodies. Here is again an imagery created by the poet. The poet is thinking that one of the two Chinamen asks for mournful melodies. The servant who was carrying the musical instrument that we have studied in the last stanza, that is stanza 4, that the servant who was carrying the musical instrument begins to play such melodies. Both the tragic scene at which they are staring and the mournful melodies that are being played cause the two Chinamen's eyes to glitter with gaiety, to glitter with happiness. So, in this stanza, we can see three different happenings. First is about the reason of discoloration on the stone. The second image is that the Chinamen are climbing towards the mountain and the poet is delighting to see them. After that, the two Chinamen are looking down at the tragic scene. And the third image is of the mournful melodies, how they glitter, how their eyes glitter with happiness. So, if we sum up the entire poem, we can see that stanza first refer to the three arts, painting, music, and poetry, which go down to destruction, the destruction that is caused by war. And if we talk about stanza second, then stanza second reveals the inherent gaiety in tragic literature. Stanza third brings out the happiness in the visual arts like sculpture and architecture, as we have studied about Callimachus. Stanza fourth and fifth dwell upon the happiness that is involved in mournful melodies and in the tragic scene in general. It would thus be quite appropriate to say that the poem is a heroic cry in the midst of despair. It may also be said that the poem's theme is the conflict between art and those people like hysterical women. I would like to draw your attention toward the hysterical women. The poet here referred to Mordaunt and Mackenzie, who had lost their beauty and their voices by their political favor and active participation in political campaigning. So, about these women we have discussed in stanza first. Now, if we summarize, we can say that the poem's theme is conflict between art and those people who would prefer action to contemplation, means consideration, and politics to art. So, this poem is dedicated to those people who prefer politics to art. And if we talk about the tone of the poem, it is noteworthy that the tone of the poem shifts from the slangy, offhand, and deliberately modern manner of the first stanza to the elevated, formal dignity of the last stanza. So, that's all about the poem. Thank you all.